All right. Welcome to our course. I'm Dave Champlin, and I've taught this course a bunch of times. I've done this a bunch of times as well, which is to talk through the syllabus right now and not spend time talking about it in class unless there are questions. So that's me. The best way to contact me is email, and if you just stop by my office, even when I'm having office hours, I might not be sitting down there because I also have a research lab right around the corner and I spend lots of times in my research lab. So the best way to connect with me is to send me an email and suggest a couple times when you could meet. Um, I only look at emails, like intermittently. So it's pretty hard to schedule me that same day. But give me a day or two or more, and suggest times you could meet. We can meet in person or Zoom, and there's lots of reasons for us to meet. I've been a professor at USM a long time, so I am a faculty member that can give you a lot of helpful advice, helpful advising. We could talk about our course, we could talk about the requirements in the biology major, we could talk about other majors, other courses at USM, and maybe most importantly is we could talk about your career interests and options, opportunities while you're at USM, because USM pays students to do internships off campus, and we're in an area that is perfect for a STEM student to get hands-on experiences off campus. So, nearby in whatever topics you're interested in. And so it's really fantastic. I've helped a lot of students over the years, and I'm really excited about that. We've gotten a lot of students who've created really great, valuable college degrees by getting that combination of coursework and hands-on experiences. So I'm happy to help you this semester or any time. And that's true for all other professors as well. You do have a faculty advisor, but you are welcome to contact any USM professor anytime to talk to them about whatever topics you want to talk to, like that. And some are more responsive than others. And but that's a big message, is that the faculty are standing still while the students are moving through. And so I see each of you as very unique. I'm just very, very ready for your uniqueness. Yet at the same time, you'll say something like you want to go to dental school, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, well, let's focus on that. Or you're interested in horses, let's focus on anything like that. And that's called professional networking, when you start talking about what you're interested in and try to connect with people on campus and in the area in Maine who have those interests, who could help you on your path. Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, there's our textbook, and I already posted a bright space about that. And here's an addition to that, though, is that if you don't have your textbook yet, you can start getting going on the reading in our course, because I managed to put the first 5 chapters of our textbook on electronic reserve. And I can't put any more than that on, right? Because the publisher is not going to let me do that. But I put 5 on, and they're in our course bright space, in our course, and then pull down that content, and then you see under content, that's where the syllabus is, and then below that, down there, electronic reserves. Click on that Aries course button, and there are the first 5 chapters for our course. So everybody can get started on the reading and take us pretty far in the course, but you do have to get a textbook. This is from the syllabus, our course, and our course is the first semester of 2 or even 3 semesters of introductory biology, depending on your bio major pathway. And this one, the setup of those courses is very similar at almost every college and university in the United States, we'll say. And so we're going to cover the topics that are pretty typical, and they are definitely the topics that I am most passionate about. And so I know this stuff well, at both at an introductory level and advanced level. That's been my research my whole adult life. So then you'll see we've got some technology going on. It might break, and if it breaks, it might take a while to fix. So, we just have to have that reality as we roll through the semester. If we run into an issue, kind of like all bets are off. We might have to make an adjustment. Here's an example of that. Last spring I was using Brightspace Gradebook, and I ran into this really big problem with it, and I still haven't managed to solve that yet. So I haven't set up a Brightspace Gradebook for these fall courses yet, and I'm still working on it. And if we can't get that going, fine. We'll just have you submit emails, assignments to me by email, and I'll give you a grade. I respond to your email. So just a minor glitch, but also it needs to go right here where we're dependent on technology. Here's the next thing about technology, and that is that I record, for all my lecture courses, I record the class meeting and then I just upload it to YouTube. And that's very hard for students to understand, because if you're driving down to from Skowhegan, why would you come down? The answer is, I don't know if anybody else does it on campus. USM, after the pandemic, really wanted to have, and students really want to have, in-person courses. This is an in-person course, great. Yet at the same time, technology is there. You're going to miss a couple classes, and what goes on in class is really essential. And it's not sufficient to just say, oh, I'll get notes from another student, because most of the questions on our exams will come from class, and we'll talk all about that. So I need to try hard to give as much support as I can. So here I'm saying that, you can miss some classes. What we'll do is we'll just have a sign-up sheet. You're not allowed, of course, to sign up anybody else on the sign-up sheet, just your own name. And if you miss class, you need to send me notes to demonstrate that you participated in the class meeting. Very rarely the recording fails. That's an example of technology failing. But we'll do stuff in class to make you, need to want to come to class, get to class. But there's that backup plan. And then you also have to come to almost all the class meetings. And so those are there. And a key concept is, if this presents a challenge for you either now or in the middle of the semester, let me know when it's a challenge. Don't wait till the end of the course and say, oh my gosh, it was a challenge, and we need to make some adjustments, because we're not going to make adjustments at the end of the course. We need to make them as we go. And I'm very supportive and very realistic and so forth and so on. I'm trying to help here. I'm not trying to, be difficult. I'm trying to be the opposite difficult. It's an in-person course. You got to try to get to course and sign up on the sign-up sheet, or you need to take notes, and you need to do them and keep up with the course, because every class meeting, I gotta understand that everybody's been gotten the material so far, and we move on. Yep. And because we need to move on in an introductory course and help you get ready for more advanced courses. Here's information about how I grade the course, and we'll refer to that as we go along after the first exam and so forth. You'll get a letter grade on the exams and know where you're at. Here's the flow of our course, so we'll stick with this, and that's the date for our first exam. It's going to cover that material, and you can see it's the first 9 chapters in our textbook. The first chapter we'll talk about in class is, it covers their whole textbook, and we're going to cover like the first 20 chapters, but the textbook has like 56 chapters in it, or something like that, So that first chapter is important for us, but we need to kind of move through it and on to chapter 2 and so forth like that. Yep. And so that's that first part. There's the second part of our course. Just to mention it now, we'll mention it a bunch. We're going to have a final exam. Each of our exams are going to be multiple choice. We'll talk about that. I'll share an old exam so you can see what that's like. We'll have some quizzes as practice, for these multiple choice questions. The thing to note now is just that our final exam has to be in a different classroom. That's never happened to me before at USM. Final examiners are always in their regular classroom, but there's an issue with the room we're in, and we have to move over to another room, another building. But that's not till the end. So you're welcome to use devices in the classroom. They won't bother me. I mean, silence them. It doesn't bother me what you're doing, but it can bother other students. So be sensitive to your classmates. You know, if you're going to be looking at your laptop a bunch, sit, you know, in the back. Well, you know, not so that other students have to watch you shop on Amazon all through class, right? Stuff like that. This is something we're going to talk about, and so the AI policy is set up here in our course. There, I don't think, is a lot of potential for abuse in this specific course for AI in, you know, doing your work for you and stuff like that. But it's getting complicated fast, and so, you know, here's what I say about my use of AI, right? Students are concerned about instructors using AI, and my use of AI is very limited, as stated here. And then we have this thing where it is possible for students to use AI to help them learn, and I gotta honor that. That's fantastic. Not do your work, not, you know, to write your papers for you, but to learn about writing and to learn about these topics. Oh, that's great. And so I support that. Something that has happened, you know, in this very changing world of AI is that last year students really started using AI tools to help study in my courses, and then that affected their answers on exams, because the AI would be giving them examples that might have been fact, but yet weren't the best examples, wasn't the best answer for our course, because we'd given a good example, we'd given a great example in our course. And so be aware that if you use AI or any other source and start bringing in a lot of outside information like that, even if it's true, that might limit your grade, because one of the big points of courses is to me try to help guide you through limited exposure to knowledge, to give examples that can be used over and over again. We're going to talk about a woman who had skin cancer. I don't know when she lived, but like 50, 60 years ago. And I just have a picture of her arm or neck with the skin cancer tumor on it, you know. So very anonymous and a long time ago. We're going to talk about her. She's not in her book. It's just a great example. You'll see it's a great example that'll come up, and we'll talk about it for the second half of our course. And I brought that up now because if you went home and learned on AI about all kinds of cancer like that, that can overwhelm a student, right? So we want to try to help limit, you know, your exposure to just the huge, you know, excessive amounts of knowledge out there. And I call that where a student brings in examples that have some correctness to them, but are just not part of our course, misapplication. And you know, it's one of these. It's my kind of only tricky thing that I'm dealing with AI. I'm navigating AI in my courses, I think, pretty well so far. And we'll talk. I think the last thing is I definitely want to hear from you. I'm not going to be prejudiced against you if you say, "Oh, I'm using this AI to learn this or that." You know, I welcome talking about it, discussions about it, right? Because it's important, it's valuable and significant. You know, we're not going to hide from it, but we're also going to make sure that we do some really good quality learning and growing in our course, you know, without completely relying on AI. I should also mention that in class I'll talk about the value of a college degree in biology in the era of AI, because in my opinion, the value is going up with regard to biology, and we'll talk about that. It's not going up in every topic, in every field of study, but biology, great opportunities for students with AI, you know, in your future, I think. Yep. So there are more resources. We'll talk about the Student Learning Center, and that's the tutoring center. We have a career center, we have counseling support, student clubs, and so forth. Lots and lots of stuff to help you out. And I think that's it. So thanks for watching this, and you know, I will see you soon. And this video will be available throughout the semester. If you have any questions about the syllabus, start here and then come to me. All right, great. Thank you.